the three modes of material nature. So everything in this world happens under the influence of these three modes. Guna. Sanskrit word is guna. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuyah Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajñatva Munayah Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gataha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. Param Siddhim. So they went into the Siddhi. Yajñatva Munayaha Sarve. Sarve means everybody. Munayaha means pertaining to the Munis. Jnatva, knowledge. So once they know this, what are they doing? Param Siddhim. They're going into the Param Siddhi. Okay, Sheshadev.
From the 7th chapter to the end of the 12th chapter, Sri Krishna in detail reveals the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now the Lord himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he will come to an understanding of devotional service. In the 13th chapter, it was clearly explained that by humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be freed from material entanglement. It has also been explained that it is due to the association with the modes of nature that the living entity is entangled in this material world. Now, in this chapter, the Supreme Personality explains what those modes of nature are, how they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to be superior to the knowledge given so far in other chapters. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attained perfection and transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far, far superior to all other processes of knowledge thus far explained. And knowing this, many attain perfection. That thus it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection.
So if you want to attain perfection, you have to understand the 14th chapter. Right? Understand this 14th chapter. Idam jnanam upasritya mama sadharmyam agataha
Mama sadharmyam agataha
sarge api nopajayante
sarge api nopajayante
pralayena vyatanti cha.
pralayena vatanti cha.
By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. So, what are the key things? You become fixed in this knowledge. You can attain to transcendental nature like Krishna's own nature. And once you are established like that, what will happen? Not born at time of creation or disturbed at time of dissolution means liberation. Normally we are born, right? So now we are all here. When we reach 75, 80, whatever, we all die. The soul goes into the next body and next body, till the time of dissolution. Means pralaya. If you are fixed in this knowledge, we can all attain to transcendental nature like Krishna. Fixed means practicing. Theory is easy. Practice is important. So Jaypal, please read purport.
Sure, Prabhuji. One second. Uh, After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Becoming free from the repetitive of birth and death, one does not, however, lose his identity as an individual self. It is understood from Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendence of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus without being engaged in his transcendental service. So even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identity. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by three modes of material nature. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the three modes of material nature is called transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in the transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of spiritual sky hold that after being freed from material activities of material form, this spiritual identity becomes formless without any variegatedness. However, just as there is a material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form. There are spiritual activities and spiritual situations is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there are there one is equal to equality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world.
So basically, we have to develop those spiritual qualities. In spiritual world, there's full of variety or variegatedness. Variegatedness is a big word, but the meaning is same as variety. So there is variety in spiritual world. There is variety in the material world. Why? Because material world is a dash of the spiritual world. What is dash?
Reflection.
Blank. Material world is a blank of the spiritual world. What is fill in the blanks?
Reflection.
Reflection. Yes. So material spiritual world has variety. Material world also has variety. So we need to develop the spiritual qualities, and we will not be affected either by creation or by destruction of the material world. Mama yonir mahat brahma
Mamayonermahadbrahma.
tasmin garbham dadamyaham
Tasmin garbham dadamyaham.
sambhavah sarvabhutanam
Sambhavah sarvabhutanam.
tato bhavati bharata.
Tato bhavati bharata.
The total material substance called Brahman is the source of the birth, and it is that Brahman which I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata. So Krishna is impregnating Brahman, and all the living entities are coming out. So Krishna is essentially our father. Okay, Disha Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. This is an explanation of the world. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetra Jana, the body and the spirit soul. This combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God Himself. The Mahat Tattva is the total cause of all the total cosmic manifestation. And that total substance of material cause, in which there are three modes of nature, is sometimes called Brahman. The Supreme Personality impregnates that total substance, and thus innumerable universes become possible. This total material substance, the Mahatattva, is described as Brahman in the Vedic literature Mukunda Upanishad 1.1.19. Tasmad itad Brahma nama rupam annam cha jayante. The Supreme Person impregnates that Brahman with the seeds of living entities, the 24 elements, beginning form of earth, water, fire, and air, are all material energy, and they constitute what is called Mat Brahma, all or the great Brahman, the material nature. As explained in the seventh chapter, beyond this, there is another superior nature, the living entity. Into material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there, after all living entities are born of this material nature. The scorpion lays its eggs in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice. But the rice is not cause of scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of the birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then only seem to come out of the products of material nature. Thus, every living entity, according to his past activities, has a different body created by this material nature, so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all the manifestations of living entities in this material world.
So essentially, this is the summary. The Lord is cause of all the manifestations. Normally, in India, if you see, there are piles of rice or bags of rice. Sometimes scorpions come out. It's not like scorpions are born there. The eggs were laid by the mother. So, similarly, material nature is not the cause of birth. There is something higher. Lord is cause of all the manifestations. Right? Any thoughts, questions on that one? सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय
सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय
मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति यः
मूर्तयः
सम्भवन्त्यः
तेषां तासां ब्रह्ममहद्योनिर्
तासां ब्रह्ममहद्योनिरहं
अहं बीजप्रदापिता.
बीजप्रदापिता
It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature. And that I am the seed-giving father. Sarva yonishu kaunteya. So for all the wombs, murtayaha sambhavantiyaha. So everything that comes out. Tesham brahma mahadiyone aham bija pradapitaha. So for every type of living entity, Krishna is the father. Okay, Radha, please read.
Yeah, Prabhuji. In this verse, it is clearly explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original father of all living entities. The living entities are combination of the material nature and the spiritual nature. Such living entities are seen not only on this planet, but on every planet, even on the highest where Brahma is situated. Everywhere there are living entities. within the earth there are living entities, even within water, within fire. All these appearances are due on the mother material nature and Krishna's seed giving process. The purport is that the material world is impregnated with living entities who come out in various forms at the time of creation according to their past deeds.
Yeah. So that's very straightforward. We come based on our karma or past deeds. Mother is material nature. Father is, impregnating father is Lord Krishna himself. So for all of us, eternal father is Krishna. Sattvam rajastama iti.
Prabhuji, I have a doubt in this.
Yeah, what is the doubt?
No, here it says that there is a living entity on the fire. How is the fire anybody can live?
Why not? Why
And
not?
then
Yeah,
sorry.
how
And
are
the
living entities living in water? Are they not getting wet and drowning?
no, the God has created that way their bodies so
Yeah,
they
same
can
thing.
live.
So God has created in that way. There are fire germs. Fire germs, if you put them out of fire, they'll die. But if you put them in the fire, they will live. They need that heat. Their body temperatures are pretty high. There are germs in fire. They are not the same germs that you have in water. They're different.
Okay, I see.
There are
And
germs in
the
space.
previous verses.
Huh?
Oh yeah, that's hard to understand the germs in
No, that's
fire.
hard to
So
understand because we are thinking that living entities should only be on ground and in water. That is what we say. We see fish in water and we see animals on ground. But there are forms of living entities, bacteria in fire. There are living entities even in space. How do you explain that? There is no oxygen there. So those living entities don't need oxygen to live. They live in different ways. Yeah, they live in different ways. For us, because we are earth centered, we are thinking they should be like cool, 22 degrees Celsius, and then they will survive. No, those living entities will survive from 150 degrees onwards till 1300, 1500 degrees. So if you take them out of that fire environment, they will die. So they're living entities everywhere.
yeah, it's hard to comprehend that way.
What do you mean it's hard to compete? Like every
No, no,
year,
it is true.
yeah,
It is true. But
yeah,
yeah, it's hard to imagine
yeah.
that.
No, I
That's what I
understand
mean.
that because our education is not complete. That's why we cannot imagine. Like in every chemical factory, sulfuric acid is stored in tall vats, right? So let me show you a picture. You see these containers? They have sulfuric acid. If you put your finger in sulfuric acid, your skin will come off within 2 seconds. And it will slowly start eat anything flesh below your skin. And if you still keep the finger for a long time, only bones will be left. After some time, even the bones will get dissolved. So every year in these factories, these sulfuric acid vats are cleaned, right? You need to clean them. You cannot just leave them forever like that. And the workers find that there are bugs at the bottom of the container, which means there are living entities that can survive sulfuric acid. You and me will be dead within no time. So there are living entities which are in the bottom of the sulfuric acid container, And when they take them out of sulfuric acid and put on the ground, within a short time, those living entities die. Which means their body is highly acidic. They survive only in acid. If you take them out, they die. Same thing. There'll be living entities in fire. They can only survive in fire. They cannot survive on earth. That's how it is.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay.
And also the previous verse, all the material creation is because of Supreme, but here it says because you were born because of your past deeds. There is a conflict there.
No, there is no conflict. There is no conflict. This Lord Krishna gives life to every living entity. Once we have life, we perform activities. Activities are good, bad, or ugly, right? Different categories of activities. Based on that, we are put in different bodies. So there is no conflict whatsoever. So the type of body we have is because of our particular activities in our last life. And the type of body we'll have in the next life is based on the silly activities we are doing right now. So instead of becoming a yogi, we are becoming bhogi. And when we do a lot of bhoga, then what happens? Then a suitable body will be given in the next lifetime. You will not get liberated. So there is no conflict. Actually, in spirituality, there is no conflict. Any question, it can be answered using the lens of Bhagavad Gita. There is no conflict whatsoever.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, if you have any further
Thank you.
follow-on question, ask that right now. There's a good time to ask.
No, and now I understood. He's the creator. He creates all the material energy, but how you make use of it is in your hand. You
Yeah,
make
it is
the
in your
free
hand.
will. They
Yeah,
have given you the.
exactly. So you can buy potassium cyanide from a chemical factory. It will come home. You can use it to do some kind of research, or you can put it on your tongue. If you put it on your tongue, you'll die. So it is not the fault of the maker of potassium cyanide. How you use it is up to you. So the material world is created for our rectification. But if we continue to enjoy in this material world, we'll get a new body guaranteed. So at some point, we have to come to that conclusion and simply not interact with material nature that much. Remember the tortoise? It only interacts as necessary. Remember the lotus flower example? If you pour water, a drop of water on a lotus flower, it forms a pearl. It doesn't stick. The flower itself will never become wet. And if you remove the water, the flower is super dry again. So we should live in the material world, but aloof from the material world. That is the theory. That's the goal. And somebody can do it 20%, somebody can do it 5%, somebody can do 40%, like that. And somebody is so foolish that they will extend their life in the material world by doing all kinds of nonsense. So they will be in the material world longer actually by doing more karmic activities. Okay, we'll stop there and we will chant now.